Welcome in on a Saturday morning to Views from the Stands. It's the freaking weekend. It's a Saturday morning, and we are ready to talk some sports. We truly appreciate you guys checking in with us and watching. I am your host, Steve Brennan, and we are back at full strength. We got the boys. We got Mr. BC and the GM, G Mike, in the building. Are you guys ready to go today? It's a Saturday. Let's have some fun. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There we go. All right, man, we have a fun-filled show for you today. We're going to break down the men's Final Four and give you our predictions on who is advancing. We get some big news coming out of the UFC. We have a new tight end that's breaking records in the NFL and a newest member of the Hall of Fame, and we're going to debate that one a little bit more, and one and in particular, a superstar retiring from the NFL. And we're going to close out the show with one of our favorite segments. We got a down bad debate. But before we get to all of that good stuff, Mr. G Mike, why don't you let the good people know how to get a hold of you and what you got going on, my man?
Yeah, man. Hey, good morning, Dale. We appreciate you, man, tuning in. Guys, I run a Telegram channel where we offer sports gambling slips, $10 a month to get you anywhere from $50 to $100 to $150 a day. Lately, we have been going in. We have been hitting hard. For the last 4 weeks, we've been on a roll of hitting 50% or higher, having a 50% or higher hit rate for the last month. And the last 3 to 4 weeks, we've been hitting more than 60%. So you're getting back your profits and more. So if you guys are down for that, you'll see the link pop up in the chat right now. Or if you're watching the recorded episode, you'll see it on your screen. Or my socials will pop up. Just slide in my DM. We'll have a little conversation to get you on and pop.
There we go. Mr. BC, let him know.
Man, you guys already know the drill right now. Me and my wife, Desi, we got brandes.media over here, Central Florida's premier wedding, engagement, photographer, and videographer couple. We just got done working a wedding actually yesterday. Had a great time. You know, if you guys, again, you or somebody you know is getting married or getting ready to pop the question, if you got some family formals maybe you guys want to take, or, you know, again, it's kind of getting towards that time, senior class photos. You guys want to get those special memories that last a lifetime, come hit us up at brandes.media. That's the website right there. You can check out our portfolio, our pricing plan, see if we're what you are looking for. Again, brandes.media. Come make those memories that last a lifetime.
Absolutely. And hey, we want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of companies that's been helping us out along the way as well. We got Varsity Sports Nation. It's your premier sports app, man. You want high school sports, they got you. You want college sports, they got you. You want sports content like you're watching right now, they got you as well. The best part of the app is that it's convenient. It's easy to download. You can download it on your iOS, your Android, Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire TV. Any kind of socials, they're on there. You can also watch our show right here on demand, and it's a great company. Support them and give them a like and subscribe, just like you would like for us. We appreciate that as well. And last but not least, we want to give a shout out to Millions.co. Millions is a great app that's up and coming as well. If you want interviews with athletes and different things like that, they got you hooked up. And they've been supporting us, and you can also watch us on demand as well. So give support to support who supports us, and we really appreciate all the support you guys give out there and checking in and watching the show with us. Yeah, and while you're already doing that, can you please give us a like and subscribe, man? We're trying to just keep this thing going. The easiest thing to do to let us know whenever we're going live is just click the bell. And it's simple as that, and you can help us out drastically. Now that we got that out the way, you guys ready to get into some sports? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Sir.
Let's do it. All right, man. So we have some major news coming out of the UFC. UFC has made a merger with Meta, the company that generates Facebook, Instagram, and the WhatsApp, giving fans unprecedented access to be able to have Meta AI glasses, new in-arena experiences, and become the official sports media partner of the UFC, and also a new feature as well of AI rankings. So no longer will it be the fact of people making the rankings, it'll be now AI generated. Fellas, this is major news for the UFC. What do you guys think of this, BC? I'm going to have you start this off, man. What do you think about the merger between TKO is what they go for on the stock market, but UFC is the parent company? What's your thoughts on this, man? This is huge.
No, for sure. And I mean, again, you're talking about incorporating social media giant Meta, like with regard, again, you have so many different companies that it encompasses. And then you're able to bring that kind of social media marketing, accountability, and everything along with the UFC. It's huge. You're going to be able to bring the fighters that much closer to the fans, and also to the incorporation of AI generated rankings instead of, again, people doing it. Again,
Right.
it's AI generated. However, again, it's going to be based on algorithms. So it's going to be very interesting to see. That's the one I'm most curious about. Fan engagement, fan involvement is something I think we all can appreciate with sports. But for me, the thing that really stuck out to me was AI generated rankings. And it's going to be interesting for sure to see how their algorithm is based on, how you're going to rank these fighters. You're going to go on strictly win-loss. You're going off of, are you also having the AI determine who is the tougher fighters? It's going to be interesting how they bring that together. And I know for sure there's going to be some hiccups along the way, probably the first few weeks or months of having this ranking system for sure. But that, to me, that's what sticks out most. And I am very interested in learning more about the system as well and seeing it implemented in practice.
Yeah, G-Mike, man, this is huge technology. This is a huge boost for the UFC. What's your thoughts on this one, man? How cool would this be on a fight night, man?
No, it'll be definitely awesome to watch for sure. And I think the thing that pops out for me the most is that since with this merger, it's going to put a lot of more exposure on UFC itself, because there's a lot of people that use Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat that don't know anything about the UFC. And now with this merger, obviously they're going to be promoting a lot of the UFC fights, the promos, the events, whatever the case may be. And it's going to get to a broader audience throughout the world, because the UFC is just international. It's not just the United States. If you guys don't watch the UFC, they do a lot of fights in other countries in the Middle East, in the East, and all that stuff. So it's going to be dope for the exposure to get out there, to get more fans, to get the UFC, the league itself, on a higher level, getting these fighters as well more money, because
that's exactly what I was saying. Money's going to become involved. You got to, the more sponsorships, the more money comes in. It has to.
Yeah. If people are watching the fights way more and more and more, and the promos and all that stuff, it's gonna just bring in more money for the fighters, for everybody else that's involved in the UFC. And honestly, just all in all, it's a win-win on both sides, really.
Yeah, and so like I said, my biggest take would be is what I'm excited for is the Meta AI with the glasses. And so like, let's face it, VR is the future of is the future. It's only going to get better. So I think it's an awesome way to give technology with the fight game. You're going to be able to get an experience that you probably never got a chance before. Moves like these are the reason why the UFC is on top of the game and why MMA is sweeping the nation right now instead of boxing. Boxing, it's not the same, man. UFC is on top of the game. And on top of it too, how cool would it be for a fight night to be able to put on some VR glasses or put on a VR headset? A little bit bulky still at the time. The technology is only going to get better. But how cool would it be? You're going to get ringside and just be at your house. I think that's going to be amazing. The only thing I'm going to say about the whole thing, though, is that I hope it doesn't cost more for fans to do that. The pay-per-views are only getting more expensive. They're also getting great quality fights, and Dana White and those boys know how to create good pay-per-views. But I just hope that this doesn't go on for the fans that you have to pay a hell of a lot more than you would have for a fight just to watch it on there. I can understand a little upcharge, but I just hope it doesn't come at the cost of fans.
I will say as well, with the augmented reality systems as well, with the glasses and everything like that, for me, it kind of brings me back to as well, like with given that video game fight feel though too. Like, are you going to be able to track a fighter's stamina? Are you going to be able to track their health throughout the course of the match? Are you going to be able to kind of see how, these damages and everything like that? Almost like you kind of have not really a health bar, but it'd be interesting to see how they incorporate that. You can kind of see all those little different things, maybe get in depth on, having the corner speeches, corner talks with, with the fighters and their staff. It's interesting. It's basically bringing video game like or realism, or basically bringing video games into kind of your experience of the fights without necessarily you having to worry about controlling it and learning all these different button combinations. You just sit back, relax, and watch, and it's just a whole new frontier, and it's very exciting to see.
Yeah, you could be in the fight without getting punched, and exactly. I mean that sounds pretty good to me.
Either that or
imagine having that experience of just sitting front row and watching one of these fights.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it too, like the technology that's coming out is only going to get better. I mean, pretty soon we'll be having sweat on our foreheads without even, without even being there. Like it's amazing what they're able to do, and I think this is only going to enhance the fan experience and why, like I was saying before, why the UFC seems like they're on top. But Speaking of UFC, that was not the only news out of the UFC. We got some great pay-per-views coming up. By the way, 314 is about around the corner and 315. But UFC does not want you to forget about what's coming up, and that's UFC 316. This
UFC
one just got announced, and it's going to be
just with Joe.
Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to give it that. We have a rematch of Merab Dillashaw and O'Malley too. Fellas, this one is a huge rematch. What do you guys think of this fight, man? BC, I'm gonna have you started off, man. You're up top. What's your thoughts on this one, man? It's a rematch.
No, dude, I freaking love it, man. Like it's always great when we get, those big fight. I mean, obviously having dream matches, dream fights are amazing, but when you're able to get the rematch and then potentially based on what happens, we'll see if you can maybe get a trilogy out of it. Those are always huge for UFC. You're going to be driving, huge profit margins as far as like getting marketing out there. And it's, again, obviously getting ahead of myself with a trilogy fight there, but anytime you're able to run it back, it was a great fight the first go around, but anytime you're able to run it back and you're able to get, this rematch going, it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see Sean O'Malley for sure getting another shot at the title.
G-Mike, man, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely.
Initial reaction. Well, like I was saying before, we'll break it down when it gets closer to the actual fight, actual predictions and all that stuff like that. But man, this is pretty exciting coming up, though.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thought that first fight was great. It sucks, the way that it went down because I'm an O'Malley fan and I would like for him to win.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be tough for him. I know we're gonna break it down a little bit later, but just having this rematch for sure is great. Is great for the UFC. I think a lot of people are gonna be tuning into this match. Morad, he's a great fighter, smart fighter, very intelligent. He does not give up. And O'Malley, you already know, if you go toe-to-toe with him, he's going to give it to anybody, and he doesn't care. He's not scared of nobody. So
yeah,
hopefully O'Malley knows now he's got to work on his ground game, but we'll see what happens.
It's go ahead, Steve.
No. I mean, I see, like, I'm excited for the fight because Sugar Shane O'Malley is definitely an exciting fighter. I just don't think much of this is going to change much, to be honest with you. If I have to, I'm not giving an early prediction, if you will, but I don't think that O'Malley has the ground game enough to be able to stop all that. To stop, I think it's going to be the same result. I mean, I guess that's a early prediction, but I do think that he's going to be
save the reactions.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I'll say it twice, I guess.
I'm here like, dude.
I mean, early bets, I don't know, but. My point is, I'm saying is that this is going to be a cool fight, though. I am excited to see the sequel of this one and see if O'Malley has learned his lesson, like you were saying as well, because I think that this one's going to – I don't know. These wrestling guys have just been dominating the UFC so much, so it'd be interesting to see a striker take on one of these guys and maybe break the mold of what's been going on.
Yeah, it's honestly when it comes, and that's what makes this rematch so interesting, though, too. Just because it's the tried and true, tested formula for generating clicks on your product. Striker versus grappler. It's never, and for the longest time we've always seen the grappler dominating. Habib versus Conor. You've always seen even Diaz versus Conor. If you're able to get this guy on the ground, striker on the ground, then you basically won the fight. So really it's going to, for me, I don't even think you need to have O'Malley being a great, ground technician. Just be able to keep the fight up. If you can be able to stuff the takedowns, you can be able to keep it on your feet. Yeah, that's the secret to winning.
Right, I agree. I think it's more of, can you stop the takedown? Can you stop the wrestler from doing what they want to do? And if you can do that, most wrestlers, that's what they focus on. They have their moments with striking as well. You got there's certain guys that can do both, but it's interesting. But having said that, though, UFC 316 is not just about these two guys, and this one's going to be a cool one as well. We got Pena versus Harrison, and Harrison has been dominating the UFC right now after coming from what was the Premier Fight League, I believe it was. She has just been on a rampage, and man, UFC, they never cease to amaze and just put together great pay-per-views, man. Like, G-Mike, I'll let you go first on this one, man. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah, definitely. And the last time I bet on Pena, she lost. And after that, she just been winning every single fight after that, bro. I feel like anytime I put my money on these fighters, man, it's just like, yo, forget G-Mike. And we're gonna take it the other route. And then next thing you know, the next fights, he would have been right. But she's definitely a great fighter. She's very intense and she'll come at anybody. This fight right here is gonna a great two
I'm not
main
gonna lie,
event,
I'm
a
more
great
excited about
headliner
this
for sure.
fight than the main event, to be honest with you, man.
yeah.
I shout out to UFC for promoting the female fighters. I'm not gonna lie, man. At first, I was kind of like, man, what is UFC doing? Getting like, I don't know, I didn't know how to take it. But the female fights have been more exciting every single time than any of the male fighters, man. And I love it. I was very kind of on the fence of like how I'm gonna feel about this at first. But absolutely, anytime there's a main event for the female fighters, they just have more of a dog in them sometimes, it seems like, than the men do. And so shout out to the female fighters out there. Promote that thing, man. That is great. And I think this fight will not disappoint, man. BC, what's your thoughts on this one, bro?
I was gonna say again, we're sounding like beating a dead horse here, but again, it's another exciting fight, and like what G Mike alluded to earlier, forget the Drake curse. The G Mike curse is alive and well. Don't watch those parlays with UFC with G Mike over here. But no, Pena though, like you said, stumbling out the gate a little bit as a champion. But being able to really, she's kind of come into her own, the last few fights, and so it's an interesting dynamic. Again, you've got the champion that has found her footing, and now to be able to come against this really, for lack of a better term, foreign adversary from a different league who's just been dominant. It's going to be interesting to see how she holds off. You're getting for me, it's kind of giving me like Rocky 3 kind of vibes. He's able to, fight against the hot new Clubber Lang, as he's been dominant champion for a while. So it's very much that same route. And I like Pena's chances. Again, you can be the best in the world and dominate in another league, but when you come to the UFC, it's a different sport, different beast entirely. So,
all right,
like
we have to do a quick debate real quick.
and just going to the NBA. Like, it's not going to be the same at all. It's not going to be the same at all. And you seen it. I don't know if you saw what Spencer Dinwiddie was saying the other day, that he went up on a streamer's stream, one of the top streamers. I can't remember his name. But he asked him, he was like, yo, Patrick Beverly is balling overseas. He's dropping like 45, 50 points. Not every game, but every other game. He's like, yo, why is it that they ball so hard over there, but when in the NBA, they're not like that? And then Spencer Dinwiddie just broke it down as simple as possible. It's just like, bro, NBA players are amazing anywhere else. They go to LA Fitness, they go to overseas, they go to the G League, they're going to ball the hell out. But when it's the NBA, it's completely different. It's the same thing with... It's the same thing with the UFC and the PFL and any other MMA league. The UFC is number one, sure.
Yep.
All right, so you sparked something real quick, and I just want to initial reaction real quick, real fast. We don't have to spend a bunch of time unless you want to. You brought up Rocky. All right, best Rocky, one through what, 6? What's best Rocky?
Oh gosh, that's hard because I mean, for me, my favorite growing up as a kid was 4, but I think 3 was probably the best.
Oh man,
I think 3 was the best.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rocky 3. That's my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, for me though, it was 4 was just 4. I think was the first one I ever saw growing up. But I do agree though. I think 3 just because of the storytelling and again, 1 to 2 really built it up, and then 3 I think did the unenviable task of finishing a trilogy at the time, and they really made it great.
Yeah. That's tough. Imagine just making a second part of a movie is tough, and then making a third part is like, bro,
got to stick to landing. I think if they would have ended it at Rocky 3, it would have been the perfect ending to that series. But 4 was still a solid one, but nowhere near the third.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even mind the older ones whenever Rocky got old. Honestly, to be honest with you, I think Rocky Balboa is still a solid film. It's not as good as the originals or whatever, but they each have their. I like the progression of them. I think.
Yeah, I think we can all agree.
Creed is good too.
Oh yeah, no, the Creed series is great.
It's part of that. It's part of the same universe type thing.
I think we can all agree that Rocky 5 was the worst of the bunch.
But see, you can't hate on Tommy Gunn, bro. Come on.
I don't know,
they forced it though. I think they forced it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was. I think it would have been interesting had they gone a different. And then the big fight is a street fight. Like, you lost.
All right, so just real quick, anybody out there that's watching, we got this Rocky debate.
That's our down bad debate.
On. Please get some comments. Let us know. Rocky is the best. Okay. Anytime anytime during the live session we have going on here, you guys can let us know what you think. But yeah, it was kind of stupid.
Your best Rocky training montage movie as well.
Wow!
Your favorite. You want the original?
That's what I loved about those movies, though. Like there was at least 2 scenes in the movie that would last anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes of them actually training. Like
Yeah.
I think that was awesome. Like, bro, like you don't
You're
really
going
see
number
that
one. You're
in
going number
sports
one,
movies.
Mr. Morley. You're going number one. All right.
I will
Dale's
say,
going number one.
don't sleep on the training montage for Rocky 4 though, man. Hearts on Fire, training in the woods, like that was
Hearts
that
on
was
Fire.
fire.
What I'm saying is that you don't see that in other sports movies. Like you don't
No.
see the training that goes behind everything. And
Yeah.
bro, training's a big thing when it comes to an athlete. Like if you don't know, like training is the number one thing on what makes an athlete great. And it's
Yeah.
like if you're gonna make a sports movie, I feel like you should spend at least like 2 to 3
Yep.
scenes showing how exactly they train. Not like
Yep.
I'm not talking about like those fake like
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse scenes of like you
Right.
show like 1 or 2 sit-ups and a push-up and
Right.
this and that.
Nah,
No, actually
man.
show like an actual training session. You know
Yo,
what I'm saying?
show that scene in Rocky 4 though, where he's hitting that dragon flag though, like where he's like lowering his legs or whatever, and he's like all the way up top. Where that is hard. Like, but I will say that inspired me to be like, yo, I want to hit that one day, and I'm about halfway there.
Two little known facts about actually the first Rocky films. Since Dale brought that one up, actually, do you know the scene whenever he's yelling at Mickey? It stinks. It stinks. Remember that I'm talking about? That's actually an actual thing that they didn't have very much money and the studio stunk. And so that's what he came up with that. That was improvised. It stinks. It stinks. And that actually wasn't in the script in there. And secondly, Sylvester Stallone was not supposed to be Rocky. Sylvester Stallone wrote the movie, and they actually wanted James Caan and somebody else to actually play Rocky. It didn't work out. And when he wrote the film, he was like, "This is for me." And they were like, "You're a nobody. You're not. You know, you can barely." Your accent's too much and whatever. And so everybody kind of filled out. And so they gave him, I want to say they filmed that movie in like a month, something along those lines, because they didn't have the money. And he was like, "I'll do it." And they ended up winning Best Picture, I believe it was. So little Rocky tangent there, which is always fun to do sometimes, you know.
I'm scared. I'm scared. Is that what you want to hear? I'm scared.
Dude, I mean, Rocky is the best.
It was great though too, because how many times do we see in sports movies though too, where it's like always there's the happy ending where the good guy wins, but this one it kind of bucked that trend where you lost, but he still won the moral victory in the end.
There is no moral victories. I'm sorry.
So we're gonna have a debate. But that's great. We're gonna have
that should be a debate right there. That should be a debate right there.
Next down that debate.
Is there moral victories?
Is there moral victories? Right. So we're gonna have a debate here coming up soon, I'm sure, of best sports movies. What do you guys think about that one? And you guys are out there in the comments. Let us know as well, please.
Why is it the longest yard?
With longest yard, 100%.
With Adam Sandler in it.
Whoa.
It's funny. It's emotional. They show a lot of training.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so next week,
strictly for Terry Crews scenes.
Best sports, top 5 sports movies, each one of us. It's done. That's what we're doing next week.
Oh, he's got to protect the McNuggets.
Hey, that's the truth. With some cheese on. Ain't no meat between these buns.
So wow, you guys are really high on the high.
Someone give me a can of corn. A can of corn. I'll be
Diet Coke.
All right, so next week. Spoiler alert for next week, guys. Next on Tuesday, we will be talking greatest sports films. You guys in?
Either Tuesday or Saturday, because
either one of the two. And like we were saying before, thanks for bringing that up. We are making that our official schedule now is going to be Tuesdays and Saturdays. So just as a reminder for everybody out there. All right, we'll be on a tangent on Rocky, and I love it. We got a little off base, but let's get back to the show here. We have a new tight end king. How about this one, fellas? The Arizona Cardinals have signed Trey McBride to a 4-year, $76 million deal. Now, McBride finished the season last year with 111 receptions, 1,146 yards. And this one is a puzzling one to me, and I want to see you guys' answers on this one. Do you guys know how many touchdowns Trey McBride had last season? G-Mike, you're first. Without looking it up, just give me.
I'm already looking at it, so I'm not going to answer.
All right, BC, guess how many, if you don't know, how many touchdowns did Trey McBride have last season?
I'm going to say it was either 1 or 0.
It was two touchdowns.
That's close.
2 touchdowns, man. And that's not on Trey McBride, man. He obviously got peppered with the ball, 111 receptions, 1,146 yards, and the guy only got 2 touchdowns. That's going to change next season, I would assume. G-Mike, what's your thoughts on this one being the new tight end king in the NFL?
He only got 2 receiving touchdowns, but he had a rushing touchdown as well.
I wish, Dale, man. It was 2. He had a rush. He had a rushing touchdown.
He had a rushing touchdown, but it was only 1 yard.
One receiving.
Yeah, it was only 1 yard.
That's rough, man.
Dude. Shout out to him, bro. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime that you see a player that just shows out, man, it is great. Every season he's improved. He's gotten more targets. He's gotten more receiving yards.
Exactly.
He hasn't gotten more touchdowns, but that's because the first 2 years he didn't really have like Kyle Murray like that. You know, Kyle Murray was in and out of the lineup because of injuries and stuff like that. Even this season, he had a little bit of faults, but if he could get Kyle Murray to play a whole season and to actually have, you know, a better offensive line that can actually protect for him, that he doesn't have to be scrambling around. You know, Trey McBride can be another Bowers. He could get a lot of targets. He could get a lot of receiving yards. He could get a lot of catches and obviously more touchdowns. But it could be a good offense for sure. They have Marvin Harrison, Kyle Murray as the quarterback. Trey McBride is as another receiving tight end, really. James Conner is a great running back as well. I think they can do stuff with that offense. They just gotta improve the offensive line. But just for him, man, congrats to him. He keeps improving every year. And dude, if you're able to block, they're gonna put you on the field. Now, if you're able to block, run out for a pass, and actually catch him, they're gonna really put you on the field. They ain't gonna take you out.
Yeah. And I was going to say, though, too, not just those guys, as well, you named some of the guys in the offense, too. It's underrated, I think, kind of unknown, but another tight end potentially that they could kind of fit next to McBride to kind of take some of that load off him. Tip Ryman got him, I think, a year or two ago from Illinois. Big body, like 6'7". So if you can almost like use him as a decoy in the red zone, that'd be fantastic to draw it off a trade. But that's the thing I think that a lot of people aren't looking at with the touchdowns is that he's already targeted so much on the way down to the red zone. By that point,
receptions, man, that's a lot.
Exactly. So if by the time you get, you double cover.
They just use James Conner a lot when it comes to the red zone. That's it.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, and on top of that too, you got a lot of double coverage schemes as well down there. That's a lot. It's just a lot easier to run the ball in from that point when you get to the goal line than it is to just throw it because you've got so much space. You know, or you have so little space. You're trying to fit the ball into a tight window there, but. You know, I think, again, as maybe they become a little bit more balanced, maybe they're able to work a few more deeper balls, especially around like when you get to the, you know, closer to the red zone, but not quite there. I think that you'll start seeing those touchdown numbers go for Trey McBride.
Yeah, and this was a 4-year, $76 million deal. Can you imagine if Brock Bowers has a season like he had last year? What's his number going to be? Is he going to break the $100 million marker there? Because Brock Bowers is that dude as well. But Trey McBride is a main part of their offense. I love the signing for them. I think Arizona is an up-and-coming team. It's going to really depend on the back of Kyler Murray, for sure. Kyler Murray, he has potential to be so great and just seems like he just isn't for a lot of – I can't figure it out quite what it is. Kyler Murray is I think if he put all his potential together, he could be one of the best in the league. But – I just can't figure it out. But, good.
Package tight end room is going to be the best in the NFL. Yeah, they're definitely going to be really good for sure. It's just that we got to see what Jordan Love can actually do because sometimes, man, that man Love be out there just throwing dots, or if not, he's just throwing it to the fans. I don't know. Sometimes he needs to be more consistent for me. With Kyler Murray, bro, I think he's a huge risk take. Like, he'll go out there and try to scramble. Obviously, if there's no receivers open, he'll try to scramble, and he could get anywhere from like 10 to 25 yards in one run, right? But then when he tries to scramble and he actually tries to throw to his receivers, he tries to fit it in either some tight windows or just tries to overthrow. So it could be the receiver the only one trying to touch the ball. But sometimes, man, it just comes off really bad while imagine, you're rolling out to your right, you're rolling out to your left, you're 5'8", 5'9", you barely can see over the line. That's like 6'7", 6'6", and then you're out here trying to throw, you know, against some speedy corners, some speedy safeties, and trying to pinpoint where your receiver is going to go and try to anticipate it and try to put the ball in the exact spot. It's tough, man. You need a better offensive line that can actually protect you so you could just drop back and actually just throw the ball instead of scrambling out and then trying to make a play.
Well, here's my thing, and I'm obviously I'm not an NFL player by any stretch. So I'm not trying to act as if I know what I'm talking about with this one. But I'm saying, do you think since he had that injury that he's playing a little scared now? Because Kyler Murray's one of his biggest things was that he could run. And ever since he got that injury, his scrambling has gone down drastically. Now, I don't know if that's offensive play calling. They used to run the design plays for him and stuff. But to me, he almost seems like he's a little nervous of running a little bit more. If you guys kind of see what I'm kind of feel that way, or do you think that like, you know, and I'm not trying to say like in using the term scared is a horrible term, because obviously these guys put their life on the line. So I'm not trying to say it like that. I'm just saying it just seems like he's a little a little more hesitant to try and scramble. And that was one of his biggest things. BC, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it could just be as well. They're just trying to get him more oriented to passing, being more of that traditional quarterback. Because again, as great of a scrambler as he is, at that size, you take a shot. One shot can be the difference between, you know, like that can be your career right there.
Yeah.
Concussion city, like it's a real thing. So, you know, I think that's more of this. They want him to develop more. Yeah, they want him to develop more as a passer, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think to be able, as a quarterback, you don't want to necessarily be run first the whole time. You want to be able to beat them with your arm, and then your scrambling should almost be like a last minute or last second resort. And I think that's just what the Cardinals are trying to do with him. And that's why you're seeing like them adding more weapons aside from just running back. You got Trey McBride now. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. If they can get him another secondary receiver, like even like a 1B to Harrison's 1A, I think that that's going to really help unlock this offense and Kyler Murray's potential. And you have to be able to protect that man. You got to be able to keep him up. You need at least, I would say, a franchise left tackle and probably a Pro Bowl caliber center, and then maybe a serviceable guard as a starter. And then you can just have solid guys the rest of the way. But you need a difference maker at each of those offensive line positions, 2 or 3, and then your offense, I think, is going to be set.
To speak on what Steve brought up, I do think a little bit. Yeah, he is scared maybe to run for sure, because you have a gruesome injury like that, man, and especially that it's not that it's only happened once, because he sprained it after and everything.
Yeah.
But dude, like you be running out there, and next thing you know, you get hit and your knee just completely shifts or completely comes out of place or just completely breaks. Like it's after that for sure. I feel like you're gonna be a little bit scared. Not that,
but like I hate using the term scared. Like I know like that's like such like a bad thing to say about it. Like, I'm just saying it just seems like he's a little more hesitant. Maybe it's a bad
I don't think it's a bad thing to say, bro. Because if people out here telling me that you're not scared of anything and you can't admit that, you're bullshit. You're bullshit for sure.
Everybody's scared.
You're talking about a 5'8", 5'9" quarterback, speedy quarterback, going up against guys that are basically his size in height, but in weight, like 200 more pounds of just pure muscle, running a 4'6", 4'7" at you. It's a huge fridge running at you, and next thing you know, you try to make a cut, you try to go past them, and then out of nowhere, their shoulder, their arm, their leg, whatever it is, just hits one of your body parts in the wrong direction. Like, dude, like that could be career ending. So, like, yeah, I would think that he's kind of scared a little bit. But he's still out there and running. Like it's not that he's not out there and running, but he's just trying to like what BC was saying. I think they're just trying to minimize that as much as they can and actually get him to throw the ball. And especially that you got amazing receiver in Marvin Harrison. You know, he should be getting like anywhere from 10 to 15 targets a game. Obviously, you got McBride out there too, so he'll probably drop a bit. McBride's got to get his touches, but I do believe that they're just trying to incorporate his passing more than his running.
And I think as well, by incorporating the passing more, you're able to, when you focus more on the pass, that's going to have the corners play back. That's going to have the safeties play back. That's going to have even the linebackers playing back. That's going to help you on those runs then, because they're playing so much farther back. You're going to be able to get that little more wiggle room to work. You can get probably a couple extra yards to get that slide in, so that way, you know, like you got the first down and you don't have to worry about taking an unnecessary risk on your body.
Yeah, just God bless the internet. I just looked it up real quick. Kyler Murray is actually 5'10", 205. I did not expect 205 out of Kyler Murray. Believe it or not.
He's got a few seasons.
He's a little bulky.
Yeah, he's a little.
I'm sorry, he's 207 is what he's listed at. He's actually 2 pounds. He's 2 pounds bigger than Bryce Young. Didn't expect that.
And about 2 inches taller too. So there you go.
They're actually same height. They're basically the same guy.
I always thought Bryce was like 5'9" or 5'8". Yeah.
Bryce Young is 5'10", 205. Kyler Murray is 5'10", 207.
If someone tells you they're 5'10", but they're actually 5'9", or if they're 5'9", they're actually 5'10", dude, it's the same shit.
Whoa. I'm 5'6" and 3/4. Okay, I'm 5'6" and 3/4. All right.
Yo, man,
That's
I'm
like
six.
that's
Yo,
like dudes. That's like dudes saying, "Yo, I'm 5'13", bro. I'm 5'13".
yo, on my Max Preps profile, bro. It says I was 6 foot. So yo, that's what I'm
6
going
foot,
with. That's what I'm going with, bro.
6 foot, right.
Man, I can't afford to lose any height inches on here, man. I'm 5'6 3/4", like I was saying. All right.
I'm
So you're
5'11".
5'7".
I'm
Yeah,
5'11".
there we go.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to move from the NFL, and we got some big news coming out of the NBA, and that is Mr. Carmelo Anthony is going to be the newest member of the NBA Hall of Fame. Carmelo Anthony averaged 22.5 points a game, 6.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and shot at 44.7%. All right, Mr. G Mike, man, I'm going to have you up first. What's your thoughts on Melo making the Hall?
Deserves it, man. Deserves it. First ballot Hall of Famer for sure. Deserves that, man. Dude, 10-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA team, a member of the NBA 75 best players in NBA history, 2012 NBA scoring champ. He's an NCAA champion with Syracuse. All
Yeah,
rookie
that's
team,
that. A lot of
2003,
people forget about that. He was
2004.
great in college too.
And that same year that he won the NBA scoring champ, he was top 3 in NBA voting, bro. Like this guy, dude, bro, he did it. He did it all when it comes to the offensive end. Either on 1-on-1, he was killing dudes. On 1-on-5, he was killing dudes. On the post, on the three, like great buzzer beater winners as well. He's top. He's at the top of the list. Like he's like 7th or 6th or something like that. But dude, man, it just sucks that he never won a chip. You know,
Yeah,
I think
that
like
was what I was about to bring up.
yeah, man. Like I think like that really puts an impact on his career, but that doesn't take away how great he is. Like I've seen on Twitter people talk about, oh, he's never won and this and that, blah blah blah. He
Neither
shouldn't
did
be a Hall
AI.
of Famer, and it's like, bro, man, it's like, yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's all about winning when it comes to sports, bro. But at the end of the day, man, the NBA is a team-oriented game, just like a lot of leagues in the United States and even across the world. It's a team-oriented game, bro. You can't go out there against 1-on-5 and just expect to dominate and win every single game, especially if you're going through 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, NBA Finals. Like, dude, like people got to put it into realistic perspective, bro. But all
Yeah.
in all, man, this guy was a great offensive arsenal. If he was a little better defensively, I think it would have been a no-brainer. He probably would have been in the Hall of Fame already. But, dude, well deserved, man. Carmelo Anthony, big-time fan.
Thanks, Dale, for watching the show and checking in, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say everything G Mike just said, man. Like that's pretty much my sentiments as well. Like you can't, he was so in his prime. He was complete multi-level scorer. You could not stop him. He had a bag for every position. Kind of, if I had to compare him to a player right now, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Paolo Banchero, just being able, not the most athletically gifted scorer, but like, shut up. You guys are trying to cook me. You guys are trying, man. I'm just
Banchero cannot shoot the 3 for nothing, man.
I'm saying in terms of like everything but the 3. That's the thing. But like I'm talking about though having a bag though, being able to have all these different moves, post moves, fadeaways, just again, not most athletic, but dude could just score from just about anywhere on the court. But yeah, Melo though, again, one of the greatest scorers of all time, one of the greatest scorers of our generation. And again, the biggest shame is that that man never had a ring. And he could have very well been. Had he been drafted by the Pistons at number 2 instead of Darko Milicic, you could have seen not just him winning a ring, but that whole team winning potentially multiple
if he would have
rings.
came to the Heat instead of going to the Knicks, because he was
Exactly.
going to go to the Heat.
That's another one. But yeah, just there's so many opportunities for him. I would have loved to have seen him get a ring, been the main guy on a championship squad, and he could have been. People said, "Oh, well, he never could," like because the Iverson experiment didn't work out. Yeah, 2 guys that play the exact same kind of play styles, working together. Well, it's gonna be great, but. Yeah, he should have done more, I think, in terms of, or he should have had more. Let me say it like that, because he did a whole lot in his career. But again, one of the greatest of all time. Happy for him, well deserved, and it's just gonna be again like I would have loved to have seen him get a ring, but again, I think that speaks to more of sports in general. We kind of judge players based on, if you don't have a ring, you're horrible. If you do have a ring, like you're greatest or whatever. And it's like, no, let's be honest. Most people, if you're looking at, would rather have his career than most other players in the league.
Yeah, it's wild too. I feel like Melo is one of the most forgotten greats because like you don't ever hear, unless you're an NBA head, you don't really hear too many people talking about Melo at all anymore. And I always kind of feel like he kind of got forgotten about because he kind of just once he was done, he was done. And like you would see him courtside, but you don't really see him doing. I don't know. He didn't get into the broadcasting stuff or whatever, like Carmelo Anthony, I think for anybody that does not remember Carmelo Anthony, go back and watch some of the highlights. The guy was an absolute beast on scoring. He did it all really. His defense was a little lackluster, but he was an offensive player that could do it all.
He kind of had to carry the load on offense a lot for his team.
100%. It's just kind of wild. I feel like he is definitely a forgotten great. That doesn't really get talked about very much. So I am all about Carmelo Anthony getting into the Hall of Fame for sure.
Probably
man.
Also, if you think about it, like comparing his rookie season to LeBron's, should have won Rookie of the Year.
Drafted same year as well.
Yeah, like
it's very arguable for sure.
Yeah. So, but again, I think that imagine if he would have been on the Pistons for that rookie season, he wins Rookie of the Year and he wins, he wins an NBA championship for sure.
Dude,
I would have loved to see it.
And it's like 2009 is the closest that he's ever got into the NBA Finals and the Western Conference Finals, going up against the Lakers and Kobe, Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom. Bro, the Lakers were just a better team, bro.
Yeah,
really.
What's anything to do with Carmelo?
Melo dropping numbers, bro. Melo was dropping numbers, bro. He averaged 27 in a 6-game series, bro.
Yeah,
like I think he averaged more than Kobe.
Yep. I think that in addition to being one of the all-time greats, if you had to. 34. If you had to sum up Melo's career as well, like aside from being one of the all-time greats, if you had to have something to define it, would probably be he deserved more around him for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Bro. Imagine his starting five was him, Chauncey Billups, J.R. Smith. Chauncey Billups was already coming down the end of his career there. Yeah. Kenyon Martin, he was pretty good as well, and Nene. The only thing about Nene is that he wasn't really scoring as much. He didn't even average 10 points this whole series, bro. And it's like, if he would have scored a little bit more, I think, it would have gone game 7. Maybe it would have been a toss-up there. But
the scoring was definitely on the back of Carmelo, for sure.
Yeah, the Lakers had more scoring than the Nuggets did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting, man. And I'm really happy for Carmelo Anthony, too. He seems like especially like off the court, you do any kind of interviews and stuff like that. He's kind of a quiet guy. I'm happy for him. He seems like a pretty good guy, What's that?
Like he has a podcast now, so he's not that quiet no more.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all, to be honest with you.
But he's just always had that laid back personality.
Yeah, he has a podcast right
now. Yeah, he just always had that laid back personality, though. He wasn't trying to be the center of attention or anything like that. He just wanted the ball, and that's it. Respect.
You can almost call him Melo.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there? Yeah? Let's call him Melo?
Okay.
Anybody? No?
Oh, the dad jokes. Our resident
I didn't
hear
what you said.
No, I was saying you can almost call him Melo.
You can almost call him Melo?
Yeah. What do you think, huh? Anybody?
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Resident dad joke expert Stevie B, folks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, one last thing for the news, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this one. Julio Jones decided to call it a career last night, and Julio Jones was an amazing athlete, had an amazing career. So just a little couple numbers if you guys did not remember. He played in 166 games, had 914 receptions. He had 13,703 yards, averaged 15 yards a game, and 66 touchdowns. His longest was 81, and he had 11 fumbles, which is, it happens sometimes. But that's pretty impressive over his long-year career. Guys, Julio Jones, first ballot Hall of Famer. What you guys thought? G-Mike, you're up first, man.
Yeah, definitely. 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. He's part of the Hall of Fame all 2010s team. Like he definitely did what he needed to do when he was out there on the field. He should have had a Super Bowl ring, but
totally agree.
For some reason, the Atlanta Falcons can't play defense in the second half for some reason or whatever the case may be. Honestly, I think there's a conspiracy theory there that they threw the game on purpose.
Wow, we're going that route.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, bro. 28-3 going into halftime. And you're telling me you can't score and you can't stop the ball the whole second half? Like, it was like the offense and defense went from playing varsity to JV. The whole JV squad just went out there and they started taking over. I don't know what it was, man. But, dude,
Okay.
crazy.
Dad jokes and conspiracy theories on Views from the Stands.
Yeah, dude.
This is what you guys tune in for.
Honestly. But dude, 1,871 yards in 2015. That's crazy. He almost broke for 2,000 there, and then he almost did it again in 2018 with 1,677 yards. Bro, this guy for 6 years straight, he was a Pro Bowler. For 5 years straight, he was an All Pro. Bro, this guy was a monster.
Yeah, and no, I was gonna say a lot of receivers dominate with their hands, a lot dominate with their speed, a lot of them dominate with power. He was one of those rare exceptions that just had all three. Great hands, had great, he could catch just about anything. He had great speed, great separation, and then also too, he had a lot of strength as well, a lot of explosive power. So he was one of those rare outliers in the receiving game. So to be able to witness him, and in my division, torching my Bucs defense for years, it was a nightmare matching up against the Falcons. But he was a special talent. Definitely, again, another one of those guys that deserve more in terms of supporting cast and also having a defense that just didn't choke on the biggest stage. But, I wish that, we maybe in Tom Brady's last year, he could have given him a ring, but, that's neither here nor there. But, yeah, one of the best receivers of all time. First ballot Hall of Famer. It's on the fence, but I think definitely as far as making it, I think if he got in a second or a third year, that's a lock. But I could also see him getting first ballot as well. T.O., Randy Moss, as great as they were, they didn't have rings. So, I could definitely see him getting in on the first ballot. Would I vote him in first? No, but still, one of the all-time greats, deserves the Hall of Fame, and it's sad end of the career to not being able to win one.
Yeah, and I think there's almost kind of like a disrespect if you're not like a first ballot kind of thing. I don't find Julio as a first ballot. I don't think because honestly because of the ring kind of situation that he didn't get the ring. That's not his fault per se, but I think Julio is well deserving to be in there for sure among the greatest of all time. And I mean, he reminds him of like a Calvin Johnson. Like you would love to have that body size, that body control, the dominance of what Julio was able to do. And I think Julio's biggest thing was he would play so hard that he would almost get hurt. So Julio was hurt a lot, and I think that might have hindered some of his greatness. But Julio, well deserving of the Hall of Fame. I think we all agree on that one.
And I think that's another thing as well that people think, just because you're not a first ballot Hall of Fame, that takes away from great. No, there's a lot of guys that didn't get in on the first ballot. I mean, John Lynch took him like 8, 9, 10 years to get in, and before he finally got in. And he's one of the greatest safeties of all time. So, that's no knock against any player just because you don't get in your first right. Hall of Fame, people can argue first ballot or whatever all they want, but what they can't argue is your spot in Canton. They can't take that away, no matter what.
Yo, and he had one of the freaking greatest mosses ever on Luke Kuechly for that 81-yard touchdown.
Man.
Steve I brought up before. If you guys have not seen that video, look it up on YouTube. Julio Jones mousing Luke Kuechly for a touchdown. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you watch.
Yep. And again, that displays his just all-around greatness, the hands, the speed, and the strength going up against one of the best linebackers in the league. So, like that.
In history, really.
Yeah. Showcases his skills fully.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely agree. I think he's, first. Like what I was saying, I'm not going to say like first ballot, like I was saying, but Julio Jones definitely is well deserving.
You almost said it.
I almost did. I had to catch myself there.
Slip, bro.
You gotta love stuff that's live. All right, fellas. Well, we have another major event going on today. What's up?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. What's up? We went on a rocky tangent. That was my bad. So welcomed.
So the way that because I'm a little confused on it too, and maybe some fans are as well that are watching. The way that first ballot, second ballot, third ballot Hall of Famer works is that they try, let's say, for example, right, this year, 2025, they try to put Julio Jones in it this year, but he doesn't get in it, so he'll go, let's say, 2030.
5 years.
Right? Yeah, 2030 would be the second ballot, correct?
No, I think you have to
Yeah.
wait yet after you retire. I think it's 5 years after you retire, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay,
It would be,
no. I'm just saying, how does the first ballot,
yeah.
second ballot, third ballot work?
Basically, it works by if you're first ballot. That's literally your first year on the ballot.
Correct.
You were that good to where the second you're eligible, you're in.
Right.
Whereas
Oh,
second ballot would be the second year, or third ballot would be third year, and so on. Just because there's so many players that retire at the same time, or maybe some
Yeah.
players have been on the ballot longer, they feel like, okay, Julio Jones is great, but this guy's been waiting like 7-8 years. He deserves to get in. Julio can wait 1 year. Whereas somebody like a Peyton Manning, it's like, okay, no, it doesn't matter how long they've waited. This guy deserves to go his first year.
Okay. So it's just
Yeah.
a matter of timing and who retires at
I,
the same
I
time.
want to say
But I
it's
don't think
5. You have to wait 5 years after you retire, though.
Yeah, it's typically the quote is 5 years.
Yeah.
But
I think
what I'm saying is that like you just have to. It's the timing of it and who retires with you. Like
Yeah,
what makes you first ballot, second ballot, third ballot. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
pretty much. If there's a guy that retires at the same time and he has a better career, then he might get in, or they might both be voted in at the same time. I think there might be a limit on how many they can induct each year.
I think
I'd
like
have
4 or
to,
5 or something like that.
yeah, but typically though too, again, if there's a guy that is great as well, like say like somebody who might be on a shorter level, like let's say Adrian Peterson and like let's say Derrick Henry on the ballot. Maybe let's say AP's been waiting longer than Derrick. They're going to put in AP first for sure, and then maybe Derrick might have to wait 1 more year.
if I have to go on a slight tangent here, my guy Reggie Wayne is not in the Hall of Fame, and Reggie Wayne I think is deserving to be in the Hall of Fame there.
Surprised he's not yet. That dude, he was the 1B to Marvin Harrison's 1A. Like he deserves to get in.
You could and
The thing about it,
he played longer as well, and has better stats.
Yeah.
The thing about it is that the reason why, and this is just me thinking like a conspiracy, though, but the reason why he's not in it already, or he hasn't been, because I think he's been tried to be voted in. No.
Yeah, he's on the ballot. He's on the ballot. He just hasn't been voted
I
in.
think the reason why he's not in is because he had Peyton Manning as a quarterback. Because there's been arguments that they're like, yo, why was Marvin Harrison so great? Why was Reggie Wayne so great? It was because of Peyton Manning. Now, I don't truly believe that because I think that they're both great receivers, no matter who they would have at quarterback. But the thing is, the reality is that they had Peyton Manning. If they had another quarterback, would they put up the same numbers?
To answer your question, yes, because that's my team. My man had Andrew Luck, and he was the #1 receiver again for another generational quarterback.
Andrew Luck was another great receiver or great quarterback as well. You know what I'm saying? Like if you okay, for instance, the receivers for the Miami Dolphins, right? The great receivers that have been through the Miami Dolphins, Brandon Marshall, Chris Chambers, whatever, the list goes on and on. They didn't have great quarterbacks, right? But imagine if they had great quarterbacks. Would their numbers be different?
I think it just depends. And again, we can always play the what if game until we're blue in the face. I think that when it comes to nitpicking when and where a guy deserves to go in the Hall of Fame, sure, like Reggie Wayne versus Marvin Harrison, both had great quarterbacks. It's like, okay, well, if you want to nitpick, let's see who does better without Peyton Manning. I think that's when you can say, yeah, well, Marvin Harrison would do objectively better because of this. But I think in terms of, like we're talking about Reggie Wayne versus Brandon Marshall. I would say like that gap is not really necessarily because of who is their quarterback. I just think that's in terms of their ability and their skills as players. That's just my opinion.
I don't know, man, because Brandon Marshall had Jay Cutler. He had Ryan Tannehill, was it?
I think in Miami, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how we got on the Brandon Marshall or Reggie Wayne. That's they're comparable, but I mean, I'm just saying the fact of I just think
talking about the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks. I'm not talking about the receivers themselves. Like there's a lot of receivers that are great, but they have horrible quarterbacks.
And again, but I think that there is though a difference in terms of if you want to use that in terms of nitpicking between Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame level players, sure. You could say Randy Moss Dante Culpepper was he was great with the Vikings. Yeah, T.O. You can maybe say maybe with T.O. because aside from Donovan McNabb, Tony Romo was good. Jeff Garcia was good, but they weren't necessarily like Tom Brady in '08.
Yeah.
Great. So like if you want to do it amongst that, okay, sure. But to say like, just throwing out a name like a Mike Williams from the 2012 Bucks is on the same level as so and so just because Josh Freeman was his quarterback.
Well, here
I think a perfect example of it is Devontae Adams.
One, G Mike, I'll give you one. What about Des Bryant? Where does Des Bryant rank? Does Des Bryant make the Hall of Fame?
I mean, maybe not first ballot, but yeah, maybe
do you where do you compare Des Bryant to the pantheon of like great receivers? Do you think that he's actually a Hall of Famer? Because I kind of feel like Des Bryant is almost like in a Reggie Wayne category. They were dominant as hell. I think I would take Reggie Wayne over Des Bryant, but they did different things. They're different guys. Where would you put them as far as comparable, or do you think Des Bryant makes the Hall of Fame? Like,
I think Reggie Wayne should make the Hall of Fame. That's not the argument that I'm having. What the argument that I'm having is that Reggie Wayne had Peyton Manning, which is why some people think that he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame right now because he had a quarterback like that. Because if you're comparing,
that's not your argument, that's others.
Yeah, that's others that I've heard. I've heard. Again, I think Reggie Wayne should be in the Hall of Fame, 100%. But I'm saying the playing devil's advocate, that's the argument that they bring up. But now you're bringing up Des Bryant compared to Reggie Wayne. Des Bryant had Tony Romo. Tony Romo is nowhere near compared to Peyton Manning.
No.
Like, let's be real. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, Des Bryant tried to go to other teams and stuff, but Reggie Wayne, if you're comparing the two, Reggie Wayne had a 6-time Pro Bowl, 1-time All-Pro, and a Super Bowl ring. Des Bryant, 3-time Pro Bowl, 1 All-Pro, and 2012 Most Improved Player. So, no, I don't think Des Bryant is on the level of Reggie Wayne. Yeah. But now, the quarterback situation, Reggie Wayne had a way better quarterback than Des Bryant.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, again, this just is not just with football. I think this is with any team sport. It's like, does the player make the team or does the teammates make the player? And I think that there's a little bit of there's a balance of both. And I think that depending on sometimes people are trying to play it right down the middle. And then there's other people that are trying to say that, oh, yeah, no, this guy's not good. And people will just kind of cherry pick arguments, just kind of make this player less great compared to this player.
That always is with sports. For sure.
Oh, yeah. So, but yeah, get what you're saying. But yeah, here we go. Another fun tangent here.
And then another thing is that Reggie Wayne had almost 100 more games than Des Bryant.
I mean, obviously,
longevity versus
I'm all day Reggie Wayne. That was my point of bringing that up. I'm just saying, like, I'll kind of go with your quarterback argument, kind of thing, like that. Like, so do you think so you're saying that the quarterback makes the receiver, not the receiver makes the quarterback? Is that your stance?
No, I don't think that at all. But I think
you think it's a combo package.
It's a combo package for a receiver that is great. Right? Yes. If the receiver is average, he's not going to do as much work because he's average, right? The quarterback could still be great because he has 4 other receivers to throw to or a running back. You know what I'm saying? But like if the receiver is just average, he's not going to really do as much work. If he is great and he has a great quarterback, that combo is just crazy. For instance, perfect example, Davante Adams. Him and Aaron Rodgers were going crazy. Torching up defenses, torching up secondaries. No one could stop that combo.
Yep.
He leaves. He goes to the Raiders. Derek Carr, I think he's a good quarterback. He's not no Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
And you saw it. You saw it out there. Davante Adams wasn't doing anything. Then Derek Carr leaves, and then they have a backup with Jimmy Garoppolo, or they had like 3 backups at that point, and people that were picking Davante Adams on their fantasy teams were getting upset because he wasn't doing work. And it's because that he didn't have the quarterback.
Well, let's face it.
And then to compare him to a guy that was in that.
You need someone to throw you the ball. You need someone to throw you the ball. Like there's no ins and outs about it. Like,
and then to compare him to another guy in his draft class who people have ranked consistently under him for the majority of their careers, Mike Evans. Has played with greats like Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield, and he's also played with guys like Jameis Winston and Mike Lennon.
Trash. And
even Josh McCown.
And he puts up amazing numbers. So imagine
every year
if Mike Evans had Tom Brady his whole career.
Bro. That's what I was about to say. And I feel like Mike Evans gets highly disrespected all the time. Highly disrespected.
It's because that he doesn't have a great quarterback. He had a great quarterback on Tom Brady, and people were like, "Yo, Mike Evans, this and that."
Like Baker.
People weren't watching. No, but I'm talking about like
Yeah,
beforehand.
before.
I find it to be almost more
watching Mike Evans. People
Yep.
weren't watching. They were like,
I
"Oh,
find it
who's
to
Mike
almost be
Evans?"
more impressive what Mike Evans has been able to do because he's had so many different quarterbacks, and to be able to be
100%.
1,000-yard receiver every year. BC, help me out. Is it 10 straight years, 11 years,
11
whatever it is?
straight now. 11
What is
straight.
it? 11.
Yep. And the fact that man's only been a 6-time Pro Bowler and I think maybe a 1 or 2-time All Pro, when it's like, dude, like maybe the All Pro I kind of understand because it's so
I think
hard.
it's injuries though. Mike Evans always pulls his hammy or something like that once a year.
Well, true, but he's had some
bad.
he's had some dominant years as well. He's gotten like 1,400 yards and like 14 touchdowns, and he still doesn't make the Pro Bowl over guys like Devontae or Odell because they might.
Agreed.
Yeah, and they're in the same draft class, and Mike has had the objectively better career than both of them. It's just, again, the difference is the team success, and that is one case where it's like, okay, I will play devil's advocate, and I will agree and be like, yes, that man deserves the flowers and everything like that. So, again, it's one of those where you really got to take a look at the entire situation, and again, this is not directed towards G Mike because we already made that distinction, but this is more towards those out there that are like, oh, well, the receiver makes the quarterback. Oh, well, the quarterback makes the receiver. No, it's a package deal. It's a combo. And you can tell, you can look at the eye test. You can objectively tell who the great receivers are, who the great quarterbacks are by how they play. And you can just tell. You can look at numbers.
Like, we here, us three here, we're football junkies. We watch and we analyze. This is the reason why we probably do this podcast, mainly because of football, but obviously we love other sports. But we're football junkies, so we see it. But there's conversations, obviously, through social media and even on TV, that they bring up these outlandish topics on how some receivers are not good or some quarterbacks are not good because of the receiver or the receiver's not good because of the quarterback. And it's just like, if you know what you're watching, you know the product, you know who is good and who is average and who is bad.
Yeah. It's just more, legacy ESPN, legacy sports media trying to just gin up more clicks and trying to get more views. And they're just trying to reinvent the wheel and just trying to make a new argument for the sake of it. That's why Views from the Stands, we're that newer generation. We don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that. But if you want to click and like and subscribe, we'll take it.
Yes, that is true. But we give you honest takes and legit talk. That's
moving on from our tangent of NFL receivers here that we got to way down the rabbit hole on. All right, guys. So we have a major event going on today, man. It is the men's Final Four, and it is all number one seeds. If the last time this happened was 2008, when it was Kansas, Memphis, North Carolina, UCLA. Today we have a banger of a games, man. We got Duke, we got Florida, we got BC. Don't laugh at me because you're gonna mess me up again because last week I cannot remember. I'm gonna get it this time. It's Duke, it is Houston, it is Florida, it is Auburn, and I did it right. Yeah, that's it. It's only the four. So last week, man, if you guys did not check out last week, if you guys want to see something funny, I could not remember who I picked, and I stuttered multiple times, and it took me about 4 times to actually remember. Anyways, I'll get off of that one, but check out that last episode if you want to get a good laugh on how live episodes actually work, because I could not name people I picked. Anyways, man. All right, yes, we got some good ones today. Really interesting games. So I'm going to start with Mr. G. Mike. Which game are you more interested in today? Duke, Houston, Auburn, Florida.
Duke Houston, because I think it's going to be a more competitive, close game with Florida and Auburn. I think Florida is the more complete team. Auburn has a superstar.
Say that one more time.
They're more of a complete team than Florida.
The first part, Florida is a complete team.
Yeah. They.
Sorry, my phone was breaking up. Say that one more time, please.
Oh gosh, the pettiness.
Auburn has a superstar stud in Johnny Broom. I think he'll easily put up 20 to 25 points. I don't think any college team can actually stop him from scoring the rock. He's great on the post. He has a little post fadeaway as well. He's just a back to the basket player. Turn around and he's gonna hit the J no matter what. Try to hit the layup. It's gonna be hard for them to stop him, but just UF in total, man. They have 6 guys that can actually put up 10, 15 or more points. while Auburn only has that one dude that can actually do that. Yeah, they have spurts from their other players that can actually put up 10, but even last game, Auburn got to this matchup because of Broom. He put up 27, I think it was, and the rest of the team, they didn't even have 10 points. It was 10 and
He
under.
also got injured too.
And he got injured, and he got back in the game, and he showed
Right.
how much of a competitive player he is. So I think Florida takes that. But with Duke and Houston, man, it's the number one offense going up against the second best defense. This is going to be the toughest task for Duke. I think it's going to, even last game, they were going into halftime down. In the second half, they came back and they actually played that championship team level that they can be capable of. I like Houston's defense. I think they're going to slow them down a little bit. But I think in the final minutes of the game, anywhere from 7 to 6 minutes, Duke is just going to show their offensive arsenal. And they're going to take over and win it in a close one. But I see Duke and Florida in the national championship.
Yeah.
BC, that's a lot. What's your thoughts?
No, yeah. No, I was going to say, I agree with G-Mike 100%. Again, Florida, I think, kind of has the more comfortable win for this one for sure. Duke and Houston is going to be more of that. To me, it has more of that big fight, heavyweight bout kind of feel to it. Again, not to say that it's not going to be a good game with Florida and Auburn, but I think Florida's going to win this one handily. And then compared to Duke and Houston, I got Duke winning. Well, I almost had a Freudian slip myself. I've got Duke winning this one. Like you said, got best offense in the entire NCAA, and you've also got Player of the Year. Flagged for real. He's gonna show up. He's gonna show out, and I think that Houston will do a good job of slowing them down, and I think that it'll keep this. I think that within 10 or 5, somewhere in there, like in that range, 10 to 5 points. But I've got Duke winning this one, and it's gonna be, I think, a banger of the national championship.
All right. Well, I don't know if you can see the behind me real quick. That's orange, white, and blue. You know where I'm going with this one, man. My Florida Gators have been giving me freaking heart attacks. I'm not gonna lie. My Florida Gators have been giving heart attacks, man. That last game against Texas Tech, man, I was.
That's a good team. That's a great team. Texas Tech is a great team.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and say my Florida Gators will advance. And ironically, Auburn is the number 1 seed going into the tournament, but I feel more confident having to play Auburn than I do any of these other teams going into a Final Four game. I know that's a little bit bold to say, but I am very confident. I'm very high on Florida. Walter Clayton Jr. is that dude. And honestly, I've been hearing a lot of things. I think that your Orlando Magic, BC, should draft Walter Clayton. I think Walter Clayton is kind of getting forgotten about. I think he's probably going to be a second-round pick. But he's been getting comparisons to Steph Curry. Not saying that he's Steph Curry. So let's not get that twisted.
Even he said that he's not Steph Curry. So.
Exactly. I just like the way he plays. He reminds me of a Steph, that he can shoot it from anywhere. He can do whatever you need to. My X factor in the game is Condon. That's my guy. I love the Australian. He's awesome, man. I love Alex Condon. He went down in that one game. He came back. He played some points. He needs to score a little bit more. The defense for Florida definitely played a lot better in the second half. The biggest thing I think for Florida in this game today is that Florida cannot play the way they've been playing in the last 2 games by getting down. Auburn is no joke. Auburn is legitimately the number 1 seed in the tournament. So getting down by 9 to 10 points is not an option. Florida has to go out and they have to play well the entire time. That's flat out. Duke Houston now. I'm picking Houston over Duke, to be honest with you. I like Houston's. I'm doing that one. I'm picking Houston over Duke. I think because Houston's, lack of better terms, they're just a mean team, and they play defense. They have a confidence that I haven't seen in the tournament. They are dogs, man, and I think that's going to come out. Cooper Flagg, obviously, like you alluded to as well, just won AP Player of the Year. But I'm going to go with Houston as my pick over Duke. Duke has everything to win the championship, and they are a great team. And I'm not it's not a shot at Duke, but I love the dog mentality of Houston.
Yeah, 2 notes as well, like draft notes. Number 1, Matt for the Magic. for a team that struggles with offense, they definitely need it. So I would not be opposed to making that draft pick at all. And plus, it's Gainesville, it's Florida, it's a local kid. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Also, too, yes, exactly. Chomp chomp in O-Town. Also, real quick though, too, with regards to the last time we had all the number 1 seeds in the Final Four, 2008. How great was that draft class? 2008, 2009. You had guys like Russell Westbrook, your Derrick Roses, so much talent.
Right, Chalmers.
Exactly. There is so much talent, NBA talent in that draft. So this class right here, I think is going to be. We could see another kind of renaissance in terms of the amount of number 1 overall picks like that.
100%.
So it does. It all starts with Cooper Flag, but you definitely got some sleepers in there for sure though too. That will add some depth to this next draft class.
Okay, so the national championship game is probably going to be Monday or Tuesday. So Monday. So the next episode we're going to be talking about who won. So let's make the predictions here. With Steve, I don't think we got to hear his prediction. I think we're going to know that UF.
We know it.
But since you and I, BC, are
no, I mean, I'm not trying to be biased or anything like that at all.
I don't really think it's being biased because Florida is a great team. I think they're a great team. I don't think it's being biased.
It's not biased if you're thinking logic. And so I think, Stevie, you've got Florida and Houston in your national championship.
I do.
And he's going to pick Houston. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And he's going to pick Florida. And so BC and I, we're picking Duke. We're picking Duke and Florida. BC, who do you got?
I've got Duke in this one. Sorry, Steve, but I think that in the national championship game, we're going to see Cooper Flag go off. I think that this is going to kind of be his cementing of why he's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and
if he decides to go.
If he decides to go, yeah. But I'm saying if he foregoes, another season and he decides he wants to go, capitalize. I don't think there's any bigger moment than winning the national championship, getting the AP Player of the Year, and I think that that's kind of his stamp on this is why I'm number 1.
I am him. But for sure, I'm picking Duke for sure. I think Florida is, like I said, a great, complete team. I don't like the fact, and Steve already alluded to it, that the first half they don't play well, but they play very well in the second half. And against a team like Duke, man, and even Houston, bro, against those two types of team, Houston is a way better defensive team. So I'll play that devil's advocate right there. If they start off the first half playing horrible against Houston, Houston's going to take that game, man. They're going to be out in front probably by 10 points at halftime, right?
Yep.
But if they end up playing Duke, which I do believe that's going to happen, I think it's going to be tight for sure down the stretch. Now, Florida's a better second half team, so Duke is going to have to bring that offensive arsenal and start clicking on all cylinders when it comes to their offensive game. Yep. And if they don't, Florida can win this national championship.
Yeah, and I
saw an interesting stat the other day. I saw an interesting stat. There was a cool photo of all of the Houston Cougars in the locker room, shirts off, looking great. The average time for the mile for the Houston Cougars is 5.13.
Wow,
gosh,
yeah, that's impressive. Everybody's an athlete on that team, man.
Okay,
great.
All right, so we'll bring this one home real quick. So you know me, I'm going to UF Florida. G Mike.
Duke, Florida. Duke wins it all, baby.
Got same thing as G Mike, man. Duke and Florida. Duke's gonna put a stamp on it. Cooper Flag showing us why he is the best.
And I mean this with all due respect. Y'all are Dookie. Anyways, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and close out the show with one of our favorite segments here, and that's our down bad debate. And this week, we're going to stick with the basketball theme and cut one player. And if you can't see it on the screen, we're going to talk about it on the air. We got Shaq. We got Hakeem. We got Nokic. Anyways, and we got Kareem.
Nokic.
Dude, man, this one's tough, bro. This one's tough, man. But
Jokic. Sorry, Jesus.
If you want me to go first, I'll go first. If not, one of you want to go first, I'll wait. But
no. Let's go ahead, man. This is a great debate here. So
I'm gonna go from left side, top left to bottom right, explaining each player. Right. So I can't cut Shaq because he's the most dominant player in NBA history. No one can cover this guy. And if he had a free throw that he could sink 80% of the time, Shaq would be one of the top scorers. in NBA history. I can't cut a Shaq. Um, can you put the graphic back up,
Yeah,
please?
that's right.
Yeah,
With Hakeem, I can't cut Hakeem either, man. This guy's footwork was out of this world. No matter what he did, the defensive center or the defensive power forward was not stopping him. This guy was doing so many hezzies, so many himmies, so many shakies. This guy was going over the top. This guy was killing everybody on defense, man. It's tough for me to
man.
cut Hakeem. And then with Jokic, man, it's tough for me to cut him too because he's such a playmaker. This guy can do it all. He could score 61-point games, grab 10 boards, 10 assists, a triple-double in the same game. This guy will make any player on his team that much better, from just a role player to an all-star. And, bro, it's tough for me to cut Jokic as well. So for me, it would have to be Kareem, just because of the simple fact he is probably slower than Hakeem. He's not as dominant as Shaq, and he's not as much of a playmaker or even a playmaker as Jokic. So I feel like he's the only one that can't do something as great as the other three, in my opinion. So for me, it would have to be Kareem
Wow.
Abdul-Jabbar.
I may have to push back on that a little bit. I mean,
I was
dude
gonna say,
had.
I agree. I agree.
I was gonna say, dude had the most unguardable shot, and that was a cheat code for years with the skyhook. So it's like he might have been
Yeah.
he might not have been physically dominant with Shaq in terms of like being able to body guys like that, but dude, he starts backing down and he hits that skyhook. None of those guys have the length on him. Maybe Hakeem would be able to stop it, but I
It
think
was so slow. It was so slow.
that's
And
according to that was according though too, like the cameras back then that everything looked slow. Like I'm pretty sure if you played modern game, like modern cameras, like you'd see like he wasn't that slower than
my
everybody
guy
else.
was taking 5 seconds to do the steps and shoot the hook. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I see. I think for me, it's going to be between Shaq and Kareem. That's where who I'm cutting because I'm not going to get rid of one of, if not the greatest defensive center of all time with Hakeem Olajuwon, and the fact that he was so dominant and had such an arsenal on offense, though, too, with the Dream Shake. I can't cut that. I can't cut Jokic's offensive skill and prowess, being the best shooter of the bunch, and then on top of that, being the greatest playmaker of the bunch. Defensively, yeah, you'd have to hide him with some great defensive forwards, but I can't pass that up. I think for me, I am going to cut Shaq, not in terms of
Whoa.
I know. I'm just saying. This is no respect to the Diesel, but when it comes to those fourth quarters, and she might quit the conspiracy face. I think if it's a close game and it's fourth quarter and I need somebody to sink a free throw, I'm sorry, I can't rely on Shaq. I'm gonna
That's
have
a-
to take.
That's a good argument. That's a
I'm
good
gonna have to
argument right
pull
there.
him.
But
I wouldn't even think about
this
that.
guy's giving you 40, 45, bro.
I know that,
Like-
but guess what? If it's a close game, though, if it's a close game and it's fourth quarter and he's going to the line and I got to roll the dice to see if he's going to make it or not, and he's got that, like I would rather sacrifice Hakeem, or I'd rather sacrifice Kareem's finesse for Shaq's power. But I know when
Damn,
he's
I
got
did not
the
think of that. I
skyhook,
forgot about that.
he's just as every bit the rebounder does it in a different way. Every bit the defender again does it in a different way. But he's got the unguardable skyhook, and at the same time, when he goes to the line, I'm much more comfortable with him taking those free throws. Again, if, like you said, only one of these guys we used a what if for, and that's Shaq. Oh, if Shaq was just a better free throw shooter. All these other guys, I'm pretty comfortable. We're dealing with actual reality. So it's like if we're dealing strictly with the game and the rules and everything, I will take Hakeem, I will take Kareem, I will take Jokic, and I'm going to cut the Diesel just because the free throws were that much of a weakness for him.
Just to push back real quick, Steve, before you go, just to push back.
No, you're fine. Like,
Push.
Shaq-
throw some fire.
Shaq is the only one that will put the next best center on the opposite side of the court, on the opposite side of the team, that will put him in foul trouble. Everyone else.
Well, it depends on the center though too, because remember those battles him and Hakeem had in the finals though too. Yeah, Hakeem
but he was
the
younger
Shaq.
there. He was younger there. That's not the Shaq we're talking about. He has a Lakers jersey. He doesn't have a Magic jersey.
But I think prime Hakeem. I'm not saying that he would stop Shaq, but he definitely. I think that instead of averaging, let's say, like 30 on 60%, I think that Shaq maybe averages more like 20 on 50%. Hakeem was that good, dude. I like Hakeem Olajuwon. He was that good.
But Shaq was such a dominant force in 2000 and 2021.
But who was he?
Anybody that's covering him is in foul trouble.
He was not going up against the prime Hakeem Olajuwon. And remember when he went up, and he was even Ben Wallace, as great a defensive player as he was. Ben Wallace was only 6'9", 240. He was strong, but he was still putting clamps on Shaq. Not to the level that I think Hakeem would, but that's just Hakeem's skill and ability, I think, on that end. Again, most centers, yes. I would say Jokic, Shaq would body him for sure on defense. Again, Jokic has more size, but he was nowhere near the defender Hakeem was. So,
when did they play the Pistons in 2002?
It was 2003, 04. So Shaq was starting to slow down a little bit around that time. But that's what I'm saying. You take prime Shaq versus prime Hakeem. I think Hakeem, again, defensively, I think that he's able to limit Shaq a lot more than people give him credit for.
Damn. Yeah.
Hot take.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, honestly, as much as you love Hakeem, like that would be my cut. I would cut Hakeem. I think the one person that's uncuttable is Shaq. Shaq is such a dominant force. And I think that Jokic, I called him Jokic, I don't know the hell I was doing. Anyways, Jokic is such an interesting player because he's a center, but he's not a center. I mean, he's basically a point guard in a center's body.
Point center.
And Kareem, I think that, like, watching, and maybe just I'm a little bit biased because I've been watching that Celtics documentary that's on HBO, which if you haven't got a chance, if you guys want to see some Celtics history, check that out. It's fantastic documentary. But anyways, I think a lot of these guys get forgotten about, and a lot of these guys get, they almost their careers get diminished because we all think that we're a very biased society, that we live in a very moment-to-moment society, and that like a Bill Russell or a Kareem couldn't play in the NBA today. And I think these guys' skills would actually play in the NBA today. Having said that, if they were able to, I know what you're gonna say because I'm the oldest guy here. I know that, but my point is, I'm saying is that Kareem, because of what he could do, he would be able to play today. And I'm not saying Hakeem couldn't by any stretch, so don't get that twisted or anything like that. I'm just saying I think that some of these guys from the earlier years get forgotten about because we're so in the moment bias.
Yeah. Real quick.
What's up? I know you're going to tell me I'm wrong.
No. Not that I'm going to tell you wrong. I'm going to just ask you some questions and answer honestly. Honestly. Yes or no? Yes or no? From 1980 till today.
Yeah.
Are cars better? Yes or no?
Debatable. I mean,
oh my,
bro! How many 1980 Cutlasses you see driving still around, and you have to take in your 2002 car all the time in the shop? I'm just saying. I mean,
we're really using cars to talk about.
Listen to the question. From 1980, right? From that point till today, in between years, right? Are cars better evolution-wise?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yes, right? Okay. Is technology better?
I mean, I loved watching 420.
Bro.
No, yes, it is.
Come on, dude.
Triggered much?
Is traveling better?
I mean, nothing beats walking. I mean, yes, it is.
So
are we all lazier than ever?
Why is it
right.
Why is it that everything is better from 1980 to today? Everything is better, but not basketball players. Why is that?
But I can also address that to you. That as I'm not saying that the NBA was better at that point. I'm just saying some of these guys, you take their skill level, you take what they have, and if you take the same thing that these guys have now, they would be dominant. I think great players are great players.
Yes.
NBA is better now. Yes, you have your sixth man of the year could score 50 points probably back in the day. But my point is that you can't also say that these guys weren't worth a damn because they played in the era they played in.
No,
Well,
I wouldn't say that. But what I would say is that they wouldn't be putting up the same numbers. They wouldn't. They just wouldn't because
But
the
it's
way that the game has
but
evolutionized is
I see.
let me
I
let
kind of
me let me
disagree.
push
I kind
back
of
on that.
disagree with that.
Let me push back a little bit on that because
I agree.
you're
Right.
telling me you're telling me a 7'2" finesse playing center that can score at will
Russell,
from
right?
anywhere on the
Bill
court
Russell could have dominated
with
any
this.
era.
Yeah, with also too. I would say I'm not comparing the two 1-to-1 directly, but similar builds. For example, Victor Wembanyama, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, both guys well
There
over
you go.
7 feet. Both are very lanky. Both play with finesse, not necessarily with power, but both.
But one is way faster than the other.
But that's also
Way
because of the
faster.
technology. But that's also because of the technology that and the training that is available to them.
Exactly. The
I know
game
if
evolutionized.
we're I
Exactly.
know, but what I'm saying is though, but that's not necessarily the people, the players are quote unquote better. That is the technology, the training. If you gave Victor Wembanyama the training that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had back in the day, you're thinking that he would be the same player he is today? No.
No, I
They're gonna be
agree with
two
that statement
completely different
100%.
guys.
But
Yeah.
that's not the argument that
So
people
we're
bring up.
speaking
The
so we're
people
speaking
bring up
objectively in a vacuum.
what people bring up, the argument is they bring up, right, is the skill set and knowledge that they have today. They get dropped in the 1980s, 1990s, whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. They get dropped in there. They think that they will not dominate with the skills
And that's
and knowledge
false.
that they have today. Exactly. It's false. Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say maybe the only thing that would I think one thing that they have today that they would struggle with is ball handling because back in the 90s you could not do the stuff that you did today. You could not do the stuff you did back then in the 80s. Like you do anything that's like anything you go like this, like that, that's a carry. You have to literally dribble like this the whole time.
Yeah, and
So
I'm
that
not
is
saying that, and I'm not saying that you're saying this. What I'm saying
oh
is
yeah,
the
no.
arguments that they bring up on social media and
Yep.
nationalized TV is
Yep.
that the players from today would not be able to do work in the players in the past.
Yeah.
If you're given the same learning, the same evolutionized skill set that they had back in the day, yes,
Yep.
I would kind of agree with that. But
Yes.
if you're talking about the knowledge, the speed, the skill set that they have in 2025 and you grab them, drop them in a time machine in 1960, 70, 80, 90, you're telling me that they will not do work? No, that is false. That is false.
And I agree with you on that. Like again, like these guys, I think greatness transcends eras, and that's the difference. I think that's the difference. I think as well between your previous argument with cars and train. Like I think that's the difference is the human element to it. You can't compute and you can't quantify. You can't extrapolate out greatness in terms of from the mind. You can't you can't quantify and take out heart. You can't take out work ethic, drive. Those are things that cannot be objectively quantified. That is a human element, and that's something that will transcend no matter what era you're in.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah,
I mean, like you can't take a Larry Bird and say that like he couldn't play in this NBA because Larry Bird, you can.
No. I was saying I'm thinking to myself. I'm like, look at us right here, man. We're tackling deep dive topics and issues right here.
Okay, real quick, because I want you to make it clear on what you're saying. What you're saying is that the knowledge and skill set that Larry Bird had back in the day, you drop him in 2025, and you still think that he will be MVP level.
1,000%. Yes.
Negative. No. He was too slow. He had a great shot. But he wouldn't be scoring like how these players do, bro. Literally, I saw the stat. I saw the stat.
Larry Bird would dominate right now, especially with the way the NBA is, especially with fouls, the whole thing. Like, bro, no, Larry Bird would dominate.
So we're just saying strictly that. So we're gonna take a guy out of the '80s, and we're gonna limit him to basically the training and everything of back then, and we're going to drop him into today.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about if he learned everything today. If he learned everything today, 100%, because he was so smart. He knew how to play the game.
Well, and physically he would be better. But I will say that, yeah, maybe from a physical perspective, he's going to be tougher to keep up. His defense will not be as good as it was back then.
Exactly.
His shooting, though? No, his shooting would still be the same level because he was a 50-40-90 every season, almost every season.
Can you imagine what Larry Bird's actual three-point percentage would be if they shot like they did back in the 80s? He had I think a 38% because they only shot freaking 5 threes a game. It was unheard of to shoot like they do now. If Larry Bird could shoot like he did, he'd be Steph Curry.
The thing is that the defense was way slower back in the day than it is now. You know what it is for a center to have to guard a guard at the perimeter? Yeah. They weren't doing that back in the day. They were only guarding the post.
And that is something that is a fair argument to bring up though too, as far as again, I think all of this is like with regards to the arguments of like, you know, debating across eras and stuff like that. It's a tough thing to do. And 100%. I think that we need to be fair to the players of then, and we need to be fair to the players of now. I think at the end of the day, you've got the old heads that literally want to trash every single new player because it's not how I play basketball. And then and a lot of the newer heads want to trash the old schools. They're like, oh, they're just a bunch of old dinosaurs.
Agreed.
They play
plumbers.
Let me bring up the argument of the other day. If you guys don't know, you guys watching right now, Stephen A. Smith went on air. It was either Thursday or Friday, whatever the case was, on First Take on ESPN. Yeah. And he was like, I have a source, a Hall of Fame source, that says if Steph Curry played in the 80s and 90s, he wouldn't even score more than 17 points.
That's bullcrap.
Do you guys agree with that?
That's bullcrap.
Okay.
Maybe the play style would be a little different.
Hold on. I want to hear what Steve says because it sounds like he's going to disagree.
No. So if I could be a little bit, I understand what he's talking about, but I also disagree. Steph Curry is a generational shooter. No matter what Steph Curry brings to the game, nobody can match. Let's face it. Steph Curry is a GOAT, and I think Steph Curry is underrated, and Steph Curry does not get the respect that he deserves. You always talk about Jordan, you always talk about LeBron. Steph Curry needs to be talked about because he is just what he brings to the game. He can pass, he can shoot, he can handle the ball. Steph Curry does it all. His defense could be a little bit better, but Steph Curry is I think that Steph Curry needs to be talked about a lot more when he comes to the pantheon of greatest players of all time. Having said that, I understand what Stephen A. Smith is saying. They wouldn't allow Steph Curry to do
it wasn't him.
Curry.
It wasn't him. It was someone else. It was his source.
Sorry. Okay, whoever I didn't see the debate. I didn't hear it, but my reaction to that would be I can understand it because Steph Curry wouldn't be Steph Curry because he's too small. These guys back in the day, you're able to hand check, you're able to push, you're able to do a lot of different things that Steph Curry benefits from in the new NBA. So I can understand that. Steph Curry's small. Steph Curry has weak ankles. The bad side of Steph Curry is that he's small. That's literally the only thing. If Steph Curry was 6'2", it'd be great. But Steph, I understand that argument. Now, if you take a LeBron, you take a Jokic, if you will, or something like that, and you put them back in those days when they had size, I could see it. But I don't know. I could see where people would say that about Steph.